Hi, I'm Stephen Carter, President of Decide Campaigns. Today I want to look at the impact and consequence of racist action in politics and real life. Today we have some good examples: Ralph Northam, Justin Trudeau, and Don Cherry. This past month has seen elections that feature two politicians caught up in racist incidents. In Virginia, Democratic Governor Ralph Northam didn't face his own re-election, but his Democratic Party was in a battle to take the state legislature and Senate. Winning meant the ability to protect against gerrymandering and will have dramatic implications for the future. Needless to say, it was an important election. And Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was fighting his own battle for control of the House of Commons. What did both of these politicians have in common? Well, both had pictures surface with them in blackface, an undeniably racist act. And, of course, both won, which has many people asking why. Well, it's a question that conservatives in Canada are certainly asking after the firing of their beloved right-wing curmudgeon Don Cherry from Sportsnet's Hockey Night in Canada broadcast. Why fire Don? Weren't the actions of Prime Minister and the Governor more egregious? Well, there are three reasons that we're going to explore in this video. 1, timeliness. 2, consequence. And 3, the impact of social identity. Let's start with timeliness. Trudeau's blackface incident, or at least the first one, was from 2001. Northam had his in 1984. Both of those are ancient history. Cherry's racist comments happened this past weekend. This brings back echoes of Gary Hart and Bill Clinton for me. Gary Hart was caught with Donna Rice in 1988. His infidelity during that campaign was fatal to his presidential aspirations. Only 4 years later, Bill Clinton endured accusation after accusation after accusation. Infidelity, smoking marijuana, draft dodger, it went on, and yet none of these proved fatal. Clinton weathered those storms and more because the timing of the action mattered. Clinton's sins occurred in the past, some a decade before, some many decades earlier, which mirrors the experiences of Prime Minister Trudeau and Governor Northam, but not those of Don Cherry. Don Cherry's sin was recent, so we can see that timing matters. But what about consequence? What would have happened if, instead of being discovered in the nomination process, Gary Hart's infidelity was discovered 5 weeks prior to his presidential election? The consequences for the Democratic Party would have been significant. Instead of losing a potential nominee, they would have lost a potential president and the Congress. The consequence ramps up significantly. In Governor Northam's case, the consequence of holding a grudge, of holding the Democrats accountable for his prior sin, would have been to give up the state legislature and Senate, to give up control of redistricting, to give up control of healthcare, to give up issues that matter to the Democratic Party. The consequence was just too high for Virginians. And we can see both timing and consequence in the Justin Trudeau blackface incident. Justin Trudeau's mistake happened years ago, yes, but it was discovered with only a few weeks to go in the Canadian election. High consequence for a relatively old offense. And what happened? The Liberal Party faithfuls, particularly the voters, closed ranks. They did not allow this offense to derail their support of the Liberal Party or of their leader. As you can see from this image from Ecos Politics, only 7% of Liberals said their vote would be impacted by the brownface incident. Conservatives and People's Party voters used the incident to confirm their disgust with the Prime Minister. 6 times as many conservatives said the incident would change how they would cast their vote. Spoiler, it changed no one's vote. Conservatives voted Conservative, Liberals voted Liberal. The consequence was too high and the incident too far in the past to actually shift voter intention. For me, this is an excellent example of social identity theory, where the group is more important than any of the individual factors involved. As Frank Graves' polling shows us, Liberals were not going to hand victory to the Conservatives for this or virtually any other offense committed by Justin Trudeau. Their commitment to the party, their commitment to their group, was ultimately the deciding factor. Conversely, the blackface incident didn't cause conservatives to change their votes. Instead, it served as another reason to vote against the Liberals. And what of Don Cherry? Predictably, our polarized red teams and blue teams are using his downfall as part of their communications. Why is Don Cherry suffering the consequences of his actions when the Prime Minister didn't? Cries Twitter. Well, Cherry's mistake was recent. Punishing him has virtually no consequence, and there are few whose social identity is caught up in his defense. In summary, it was recent, it had no consequence, and the social identity group invested in saving him was insufficient. Prime Minister Trudeau and Governor Northam's offenses were the exact opposite. They were in the distant past. They had high consequence, and they were protected by social identity theory. I want to thank Frank Graves and ECOS for allowing me to use their polling data. Their information for the whole campaign was fantastic. Thank you to them. For more information on social identity theory, I highly recommend the You Are Not So Smart podcast, episode 122. Great listening. The entire podcast in general is just fantastic. And make sure to visit decidecampaigns.com for more information and videos like this in the future. Thanks very much for watching.